welcome to New Gameplay Today. I am your host, Wesley LeBlanc. Today we are joined by Marcus Stewart. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm very interested in this game. I haven't watched this gameplay, but I kind of scrubbed through it before this, and it looks great. What are we checking out?
We're checking out Grim Guardian's Demon Purge. And Wes, I got a question for you. Do you like Castlevania, namely the Symphony of the Night / Koji Igarashi variety?
Symphony of the Night. That sounds so familiar. Yes, of course.
All right, well, have I got a game for you? It's this one. This comes to us from Inti Creates, who is probably most notable, at least in modern times, as the developer of the Azure Striker Gunvolt games. They also did the prequel games for Bloodstained, which,
okay.
Yeah, like Circle of the Moon, and I think it's called, and the other one, but they were sort of the like classic Castlevania takes on the big, Bloodstained game that Igarashi crowdfunded. This is them doing sort of like a little bit more of a recent version of it, at least, like I said, in a Symphony of Night vein, where you play as these two sisters who are demon hunters, and after this mischievous demon sort of opens a warp hole that swallows their school and their general reality into this one, they're fighting through a castle to undo that, because that's bad.
That happened to me in Florida.
Yeah, I would argue that that's just Florida every day, is that we have merged with some sort of demonic realm, and we just all got used to it.
Just suffer through it.
But the cool thing about this game is, like, if you're a fan of Castlevania, you're probably looking at this going like, oh yeah, this looks like what I would expect from this. But the cool, unique twist is that you're controlling both sisters simultaneously if you're playing in single player. So there is co-op in this game, which I think is really cool. You don't see co-op a lot in a Metroidvania. You can run this with another person, but if you're playing single player, sort of tag out between the two sisters. As you can see, they each have their own health bar, and they're both very different from each other. One of them has a gun, which you also don't see in Castlevania a lot.
Yeah.
Great for long range. You also have to manually reload it too. And the other sister is melee focused, and her attacks do a lot more damage, but she also has a smaller health bar because of that.
Okay.
There's some other sort of like platforming traits, like the sister, like the one we're looking at now, who's the melee sister. Since she's shorter, she can actually duck and crawl under ledges, whereas the older sister can't. We're probably going to see that shortly here, as that ghost ruins my life. And yeah, what's also unique is that when one of them dies, it sort of does like almost like a Dark Souls kind of thing, where whatever sibling dies, you start over at whatever the last checkpoint you were, but you play as the sister that's not dead, and you have to go back and resuscitate the fallen sister. And if you die again with the remaining sister, then it's like actually game over. But they do give you the chance to say like, hey, you can go back and wake your sister up, which can be tricky if you died in like a really enemy heavy area.
Yeah.
Usually you just stand over her and just mash a button to do some CPR. That's how you come back. And that's kind of how they, you get like second chances basically, which I think is cool. But
that's a fun twist. I like that. So it's like, following the Souls thing you mentioned, are you like collecting resources in a Souls way, or is it just the like go back and recover your sister and get her back to life?
It's just that. Everything else is, at least from what I played, I've only played the first couple hours or so, but everything else is pretty much Castlevania. You're attacking candle equivalents to get mana points to fuel special weapons. Each sister can carry a different special weapon. Like the sister with the gun has this dagger that you can throw, and the other sister can surround herself with these kind of giant shurikens to kind of like an offensive shield. Other than that, you're collecting health. As you saw earlier, you're smashing through walls to find some like wall. I don't think it's meat. I think it might be just a regular heart. It's less
heart jerky.
Gross. Yeah, like wall hearts.
Yeah, those are also in Florida everywhere.
Yeah, it's how we sustain ourselves down here, especially in the summer. And yeah, other than that, you're just running through this. What stands out and I'm not too big a fan of this, is that as far as I can tell, there's no traditional map, but it is
Oof.
like
Uh-oh.
Metroid, like, it's a big labyrinth. But instead, if you hit the right analog stick, it brings up a compass, and it just sort of like generally points you towards different landmarks or enemies. So like you'll see a skull, and it's saying like, hey, there's a boss here if you just keep heading this way, or it'll say like, hey, there's a special treasure if you head south. But other than that, and I kept hitting every button, like the touchpad or everything of like, I don't think there's a map. And the only time I've seen a map is I completed the first floor of the dungeon, and then in the transition to the second floor, it shows like the general map. And I was like, oh, is that the only time you can see it? So as far as I can tell, that's how it works. I don't know if you find a map and
It
get
was like
it.
a loading screen, basically, like once you went from the first dungeon to the second, and like popped
Yeah.
up real quick and then disappeared.
I stayed up for like a while. Like I think you can choose when you want to move on, but I don't think like the way it's displayed, it doesn't seem like it would be useful to try to memorize it. It just kind of goes like, oh yeah, this is what this looks like, and then you just sort of play. So like, the compass helps of like, well, I'm gonna head towards this treasure and explore. So maybe in a way, going back to your earlier question about like, does it take any other Souls inspirations? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's another one
Yeah.
of like, yeah, like you don't know where to go or where you're going. You just have that compass as your only guide. But other than that, it's about discovery, So yeah, like I'm still not totally sold on that. It's just like, how big and labyrinthine these games are. But at the same time, I don't know how much backtracking you do either, especially because the whole point of the game is like you need to climb to the top of this castle where the final boss is. So you're only going to be going up. And as far as I've seen, like there have been some doors that I couldn't open, but I haven't got to the point where I can see how backtracking works. Like, can I fast travel back to another floor to open those doors with some ability that I assume I get or an item? And then
So it
how does
doesn't
finding
feel as like Metroidy in that way. Like it looks like it plays very Castlevania, but you're kind of just linearly trying to go up.
yeah, at least for now. Like I said, there are definitely some doors where it's like, okay, I assume I'm gonna come back to this later because why would it be here?
Yeah.
And they're like different colors, and it's like, okay, I don't know if this is an item or an ability.
Are you collecting
yeah.
like different abilities, like in a Metroid, where you're like, oh, okay, I can see where this is used earlier in the game?
No, it's a lot more Castlevania of like so far
Okay.
I've just found different weapons, like sub weapons to find. But at least so far I haven't found like a straight up new ability of like, but there have been areas where it's like, okay, it looks like clearly you're gonna get a double jump because there's a ledge here that I just can't reach with the regular jump, So I assume it's just more ability based like that, which again, Symphony did stuff like that too. I don't know if you're gonna get like familiars to transform into, but I will say, despite my like reservations about the navigation, it is pretty fun. Like it plays well. I think I like the Azure Striker Gunvolt games. I thought those were pretty fun, sort of like Mega Man X throwbacks for 3DS back in their day. I thought the Bloodstained prequels were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they did the thing that they set out to do of like, yep, this feels like an old NES game. Sometimes
But
in
it also
the
feels
worst
like
ways.
an old NES game, yeah.
Exactly. And you're like, I'm gonna go play the big Bloodstain. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, this definitely plays a lot more modern. It feels pretty slick. I like the tag team abilities. I like the strategy that involves of quickly switching out to like and then also it kind of lets you approach enemies in a different way of like you're so trained in a lot of Castlevania games because they're usually melee focused. Of like, oh, there's this guy on this ledge. He's throwing stuff at me. I don't want to waste my mana, so I'm going to just try to jump and hit him a bunch of times. And then you remember, like, wait, I have a gun. I have a gun. Like, I can just switch to the sister and deal with him that way, and that's way better. So yeah,
It's funny.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, I want to see. I haven't had a chance to play it in co-op yet. So
That's an interesting twist on the formula. Are you both in the same screen type of thing? Like, is it split screen co-op?
I think you're both on the same screen. I forget if it's or I'm not sure if it's local or not. But it wouldn't surprise me because Castlevania had that 4-player game. Was it Harmony of something Harmony? All the Castlevania subtitles blend together after a while.
Yeah.
I know it's like Harmony of something, but it was like an XBLA PSN game. Like I remember not liking it as much as I wanted to, but it was a fun novelty to be like, hey, there's 4 of us running around a big castle. That's pretty cool for a little bit. But yeah, as far as I know, you're sharing the same screen, which would probably be better if you're playing online.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to give that a go. When could I give this a go? Because I'm very interested to check this out.
Very soon, actually. It comes out this Thursday, February 23rd. So
nice.
At the time you're watching this, it's going to be tomorrow.
And it looks like you're playing on PlayStation here.
I'm playing
pop up earlier.
Yeah, I'm playing on PS5, but it's on everything: PlayStation, consoles, Xbox, Switch, PC, all the usual suspects.
Awesome.
But there's one of the doors I mentioned too.
Oh, that you can't open. I see.
Yeah, I saw there. I was like, I gave it a whack, and that was not the answer.
Quick question before we head out here for today. What is the Pride popping up? Is that currency or is that something else?
Pride is mana.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Cool.
That threw me off too. It was just weird to see the word Pride 100.
I feel so good. I did it.
I found 1,000 Pride. You're like, okay. I was gonna play Pride by Living Colour. It's a great song. Celebrate. And there's the compass there I pulled up accidentally, but there's a glimpse of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, I think this is a great place to stop, and I say that because I feel like I screwed this area up a little bit. And I don't want people to see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Marcus.
Thank you very much for having me, Wesley.
Bye, everybody.